At this point last year, the Chicago Bears were a team that had two top 10 picks, including the number one overall pick, and they were a team that looked like one of the brightest futures in the NFL. They drafted Caleb Williams, they drafted Rome Odunze, and the first half of the season looked promising for the Bears before a catastrophic fall off in the second half of the year, where pretty much everybody got the boot. Ryan Poles remains unscathed, however, and the Bears already are a winner of this offseason, bringing in Ben Johnson, the most sought after head coaching candidate we've had probably since Kyle Shanahan. What can the Bears do next to build a contending roster? They have some really fun pieces. I love Montez Sweat. I thought Caleb Williams had a very good rookie season. I know a lot of people on social media are going to try and tell you otherwise. They have weapons. What's next for the Bears? What positions do they need to address, and how can they get there? That's what we're going to be attempting to do in this 7-round Chicago Bears mock draft. We're going in draft order, doing one of these for all 32 NFL teams. So if you guys do enjoy the videos, a like and subscribe really helps me out. Also, check out my Patreon page, which I will leave linked down in the description below, where for only $5 a month, you guys will get exclusive access to my draft guide with all of my scouting reports, pro day, combine numbers, little tidbit from the Senior Bowl, data, stats, all the information you guys need to be successful and get familiar with these prospects. I highly recommend checking that out. But guys, let's go ahead and get into it and kick off this 7-round Chicago Bears mock draft. Here on the clock at number 10, and there are two players that I have in mind, and I'm very curious to see where Bears fans are going to stand on this. Number one is offensive tackle. Will Campbell, to me, is the best offensive lineman in the draft class. I don't think it's particularly close either. He's incredible. I don't know what his arm length is going to end up being. He does have shorter arms for the position, but 6'6", 325 pounds, a guy that can play in a variety of spots. I think he would be a great guard. He might be an all-pro center, but he played left tackle at LSU. Incredible hand placement. I think he's got some of the best hand placement of any offensive lineman I've seen in quite a while. He does an awesome job of countering pass rush moves. He's incredibly strong in his upper half. He is a people mover in the run game. I don't think he's an incredible athlete. I don't think he's got the greatest quickness to climb to the second level, but I think he is just a guy that is going to be a incredible offensive lineman at the next level. And I think people are going to try and overthink it with the arm length. We did it with Rashawn Slater. He's turned out to be an unbelievable left tackle for the Chargers when he's been on the field. Will Campbell can be that guy for you, and I do think he is the best tackle in this class. But I also think Ashton Jeanty is very much in play here for the Bears. And the reason I say that, Ben Johnson and the Lions, they loved to run the football. That's what this team was built on. DeAndre Swift was pretty terrible for them, if we're going to be completely honest. I thought his vision was awful. Had a couple of decent games in there, but that is not going to be a running back on the roster. Ben Johnson traded DeAndre Swift to get Jahmyr Gibbs. I wouldn't be shocked if they do the same thing. I think Jeanty's very much in play here. His ability as a power runner, his ability to make big plays happen, his contact balance, I think he could be a huge piece for this team. However, I am going to take Will Campbell. I think you have to prioritize the trenches here if you're the Bears. Will Campbell gives you versatility to play him virtually anywhere you want to along the offensive line. You can play him at tackle. You can play him at guard. Doesn't really matter. You need help on the O-line. I think Will Campbell brings you that help. I'm drafting him. I'm probably going to put him at left guard to be my replacement for Tevin Jenkins. So I think I'm going to let walk in free agency. I'm going to take Will Campbell here at 10. Here at pick 39, I think I'm going to do a trade back here. The Kansas City Chiefs are willing to give me pick 64 and pick 66 to come up to 39. The reason I'm doing this trade, I know people are going to see, oh, we're moving back a ton. We're picking up an extra third rounder here in the 60s, which I think is incredible value. And secondly, we have a pick at 41. So we're moving back, but we pick again in two spots. I think this makes a lot of sense. We add an extra day 2 pick in here to get some serious value. I'm going to make this move 10 times out of 10. At pick number 41, I want to go get a legitimate pass rusher. Montez Sweat is a good pass rusher. Do not get me wrong. You need another guy that can kind of complement his skill set And I'm really looking at Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State. A lot of people think he could sneak into the first round. I do have a first to second round grade on him, but I do have him as my number 39 overall prospect. So kind of right around this range. I like Jack Sawyer a ton, and he was a big riser for me throughout the college football season. I think he brings some really nice tools to the table as a pass rusher. I think number one, he's got the ideal length, long arms for the position, and he still has got room to grow into his body. He's 6'5", 260 pounds. I thought he was really good when lined up one-on-one. He's really strong. He's got power. He's got some really good upside as a run defender. I think the bend is really good with him. Do think he needs to improve his pass rush moves, but I think he gives you just a higher ceiling as a number 2 edge than a guy like Austin Booker. You got DeMarcus Walker, who I believe is a free agent next year. This team has not gotten a lot of consistency from the pass rush. You're going to have to do it this year if you're going to contend in a loaded NFC North. And I think Jack Sawyer can do that. I think he's a very high floor, safe prospect. So we're going to make that pick here at number 41, and we're going to take our number 2 edge rusher opposite Montez Sweat. At pick number 64, this is one of the picks we got from the Kansas City trade. I want to improve the interior of my defensive line. I really, really like Gervon Dexter. I think he's developed quite nice, but that's a guy that profiles best as a nose. He might bring you a little bit of juice here and there as a pass rusher, but nothing consistently. Zach Pickens has kind of turned out to be a disaster of a pick. So where do you go here if you are the Bears? And there are 2 players that I have in mind here. Number one, it is going to be, well, they're both 2 Senior Bowl standouts. Number one is going to be Omar Norman-Lott from Tennessee. A little bit of a smaller build, 6'1", 295 pounds. Had a big breakout season this year for Tennessee, and he's got all the right measurables: 11 and an 1/8 inch hands, 33 and 5/8 inch arms, 79 and 3/4 inch wingspan. All tools that I really like from him. This is a pass rush specialist. He's so quick off the line of scrimmage, brings some finesse moves. I absolutely love that. I think he's a really nice compliment on the inside next to a Gervon Dexter. And then you got Darius Alexander here out of Toledo. This was the biggest winner from the Senior Bowl, a guy who I had a 5th round grade on coming into the week. He has moved firmly into a 2nd round grade. 6'3", 304 pounds, 10 and a quarter inch hands, 34 inch arms, 82 and a quarter inch wingspan. Those measurables are really, really impressive. Just a super fluid mover for his size, lined up everywhere. This is a guy that played outside edge rusher at times for Toledo. He is so athletic. He looks like a guy who's around 280, but he's 300 pounds. He has such great power as a rusher. That translates well. He does need to work on just winning with his hands more consistently, but this is a legitimate player that is going to be a day 1 starter, I think, in the league. He's going to be able to get after the quarterback. I really don't think you can go wrong with either of these 2 players. I actually have Omar Norman-Lott a little bit higher. I do think I'm going to do some adjusting on that one. I'm going to take Darius Alexander. I just think the ceiling for him is higher, brings more of that power profile. I think he's a little bit better against the run. He also just has more under his belt. Omar Norman-Lott, outside of this year, the production hasn't really been there. Darius Alexander has been productive for quite a few seasons at Toledo. I'm going to take Alexander here at pick 64. Here at pick number 66, I'm between 2 players, and they're the 2 Ohio State running backs. TreVeyon Henderson is the guy that I do have a little bit higher on my board at the moment, and a guy who is my number 3 running back in the class. I love what I saw from TreVeyon Henderson at the end of the year. This is a guy that battled injuries a ton at Ohio State, but when he's on the field, is the most explosive running back in this class. And I think he was going to be one of the fastest running backs in this draft class. He might be up there with Dylan Sampson for just a guy who I think in a 40-yard dash is just going to absolutely blow it away. I think if I think about Ben Johnson and the way that he wanted to build his team, he wanted to have that power back, and then he wanted to have the change of pace speed back. You think of that David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs sort of dual threat system. TreVeyon Henderson is that Jahmyr Gibbs type guy. Compared him to Travis Etienne, I think there's a lot of similarities there. But Quinshon Judkins might be the David Montgomery in this class. He's way better in the short yardage situations. He is incredible after contact. I really felt like he was underutilized at Ohio State this year. And I know he still had over 1,000 yards rushing. This is a guy that was one of my favorite players in the country at Ole Miss, transferred to Ohio State, and I thought really improved as a blocker this year. That was something that really did not show up on the tape at Ole Miss. Improved quite a bit. He can receive out of the backfield. I think he's really sharp in that area. He's explosive. Both of these guys, I think, would be excellent players. I'm going to go with Quinshon Judkins, though. I like the size a little bit more. He's 6 foot, 219 pounds, 20 years old. He's a little bit younger than Travion Henderson. And I think he's more reliable in the short yardage situations, but he still brings you some of that explosiveness. Go back to that Marshall game where Quinshon Judkins had, I believe, an 80-yard touchdown in that one. He's fast. He's physical. That's the type of player that I think Chicago is going to really love. I'm going to take Quinshon Judkins here at number 66. Here at number 72, I'm going to do another trade back here. I'm going to move pick 72 and pick 149. We're going to get back pick 92 and 109. I'm thinking about it like this. We're turning a 5th rounder into a 4th rounder. We're moving up 40 spots in the draft. I think we win this deal. We also get a future 4th rounder back from the Jets. I just don't want to go from 72 to pick 149, not having a pick. We pick up another one at 109. I think I can stomach that a little bit more. We get a little bit more value in the mid to early rounds. So I'm going to make this deal with the Jets and move back just 20 spots. And we're going to make another trade back here. The Minnesota Vikings come calling. They want to come up, move up 5 spots. They're willing to give us pick 140, pick up an extra 5th rounder. I love this deal. Another move where we're just picking up more draft capital on those mid-rounds. So I'm going to make this deal with the Vikings. Here at pick number 97, I want to go get a long-term linebacker. And I know that's not going to seem like a huge need for the Bears. Tremaine Edmonds has not really lived up to the contract. I think he's been fine. I don't think he's been wonderful for them. TJ Edwards has 1 year left on his deal. Think you could look to upgrade the interior. And I'm going to take a flyer on a guy that I really love in this class. And that's going to be Ole Miss linebacker Chris Paul Jr. 6 foot, 224 pounds, was down at the Shrine Bowl, measured out, I thought, pretty well for the position. Really good athlete, though. He is your Tremaine Edmonds replacement from an athletic standpoint. I think he's so athletic, flew around at both Arkansas and Ole Miss throughout his career, just flies around, makes plays, is a consistent tackler, and a wonderful run defender. The coverage aspect of the position, it's going to take some getting used to. He's going to need to learn, but I think he's in a right situation here. You take him here at pick 97. You can develop him for a year or so, and then he can play next year. I think this is a great spot to take a flyer on a linebacker. Demetrius Knight, another player I really like, who I do think could be a really good player. I think he's just a little bit less of an athlete of Chris Paul. So I'm going to take Chris Paul Jr. here at number 97. I'm back on the clock here at pick 109. I think I'm going to look to upgrade the center spot here if you're the Bears. Center has just been a long time revolving door, it feels like, for Chicago. I believe Coleman Shelton had this year. He was fine. I don't think he's your long-term answer, and he's a free agent. You need to upgrade the center spot. You need to go get a long-term solution. Lucky for you, this is a pretty solid center class. I think there's a lot of really unique players in this class, whether that's Willie Lampkin, whether that's Seth McLaughlin, who I like a little bit. There's some good centers in this group, and I don't really know where I want to go just yet, but I do want to address some good, solid capital into the position, and we're going to go with one of my guys in the class. I'm doing it. I've been waiting for the right opportunity to take him, been waiting for the right opportunity to talk about him. You're going to see where he's listed on the simulator and be like, J-Wack, what are you doing? We're going to take Weston Franklin out of Georgia Tech. Yes, I know you see 845 and your mind goes crazy. Weston Franklin is an absolute stud and is not getting talked about in the way that I think he deserves to be. 6'4", 311 pounds. I think has the right size for a center. Really good athlete, light on his feet, gets to the second level consistently and well. He's got good, strong footwork with anchor. He's a powerful blocker. There were so many just instances where he's pancaking guys left and right. And this is a guy that is going to thrive in pass protection. I think he's one of the better pass protecting centers in the draft class outside of maybe Jared Wilson. I do think as a run blocker, there are areas he needs to improve. I think he takes some bad angles at times, disengages a little bit early. I think as a run blocker, there's certainly areas you'd like to see improvement on. But from a pass protection standpoint, he checks all the boxes. From a size standpoint, I think he checks the boxes. He's a really good player. I don't know why he didn't get an all-star invite. I don't know why nobody is talking about him. I've not seen him mocked anywhere, but I have a third round grade on him. This is where I draft. This is where I would draft him. I have a, this is lower than where I would draft him, to be completely honest. I currently have Weston Franklin graded out as my number 89 overall prospect in the draft class. That should tell you just how high I am on him as a player. I know this pick is probably going to get an F, but it is one that I am advocating for a team to do because I don't think that he is a scrub. I think he is a legitimate player that can start at the NFL level. So I'm going to take my guy here at number 109. Back on the clock here at number 140. A bunch of different ways I want to go. I want to go get another receiver here. I like the weapons that the Bears have. Obviously, you got Rome Odunze, you got DJ Moore. We'll see what happens with Keenan Allen. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back on a 1, maybe a 2-year contract, but you need another guy. Unfortunately, like Jalen Knoll, Ty Felton, Torrey Horton, Caden Prather, I don't think will be on the board. I'm not touching Kyron Lacy. Ricky White is a player that I really like in this draft class. I've got a 4th round grade on him. My number 22 receiver in the draft class, 6 foot, 179 pounds, a little bit on the lighter side, but this is a Bears team I think needs to address that slot receiver position. He was one of the most productive wide receivers in all of college football throughout his career. He's a slippery route runner, elusive after the catch, sharp, crisp route runner who can create separation, can stop and go on a dime. Excellent footwork. Yeah, he's a bit undersized. I don't think he's the greatest deep ball threat either, but when you got DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, you just need a guy across the middle that can be a consistent, reliable target for Caleb Williams. And I think Ricky White is that type of player, not to mention he is an absolute menace in special teams, had multiple blocked punts this past year. I'm going to take him here at 140. I think that's his really good range at a guy that could develop into being a really solid receiver for the Bears. Back on the clock here at number 197. Safety is a position long-term that I think the Bears could look to address. Jonathan Owens, free agent next year, as well as Kevin Byard. You don't have a lot of young. I like Jaquan Brisker. The concussion situation where he was out for, it seemed like, most of the year is slightly concerning. I'm looking at Hunter Wohler, the safety out of Wisconsin, 6'1", 217 pounds, has good length for the position, 75.25-inch wingspan. Not too bad. Big frame, long arms. I thought he was really solid in coverage. The ball skills were there. Really fluid mover for the position. Hard hitter who I thought played virtually everywhere at times for the best slot against wide receivers and tight ends. I liked all of that. A lot of missed tackles, though, in his time at Wisconsin. There were a lot of times where it just felt like he overextended, missed his assignments altogether. He's got to work on that. He's got to work on being more disciplined with his eyes. Got lost on counters and play action at times. But if you're learning about Byard for a couple of years, I think you're doing pretty good for yourself. Kevin Byard is the best safeties that we've had over the years. I think Hunter Wohler can be a really good safety at the next level. Think he's undervalued on this board. I've got a 4th round grade on him. He's my number 12 safety in the class. And to put that into perspective on where he's at on the big board, he's at around 157. So this is about 40 picks late, but I'm going to take Hunter Wohler here at 197. Here at number 235, I'm going to continue to keep throwing darts at the offensive line and just hoping that one of these guys hits. Really like Dalton Cooper as a potential 6th, 7th round target here for the Bears. 6'5", 323 pounds. Another guy that I thought was pretty good at the Shrine Bowl. Shorter arms for the position, 79 and 7/8-inch wingspan, but is a really good run blocker. Super light on his feet. I thought it was an incredible athlete at just running with guys. Did a great job of leading for Ollie Gordon, particularly in that 2023 season. As a pass protector, really raw, really inexperienced there. Anchor up and down, disengages early, does not do a great job at recognizing blitzes. But this is a point in the draft at 235, back into the 7th round, where you're just trying to find a guy that checks out athletically. Dalton Cooper does that. And you think you could develop into being a starter. I see no reason why Dalton Cooper can't be a interesting dart throw here at 235. With my final pick of the mock draft, I'm going to just take a flyer on a corner. Again, it's the point in the draft where you're looking for a guy with tools, a guy that's got athleticism. How about Robert Longerbeam? What a name, from Rutgers. 5'10, 171 pounds. On the lighter side, 8.25-inch hands, 75.5-inch wingspan. Was really, really good at the Shrine Bowl. Was a guy that I didn't think was going to be drafted coming into the week. I thought he really impressed me with what he was able to do. He's a really good athlete. He's quick. He's fast in the open field. He's physical and press coverage. He's undersized. I think he's overly aggressive at times. I think he's probably a guy that's going to play primarily man coverage. So how that works with Dennis Allen, I don't really love that, but I think Longerbeam's worth a shot athletically. Maybe you convert him to a safety at the next level, but I'm willing to take a chance on a guy that I think could develop in the corner. Wanted to take a blocking type of tight end here, but not really a fan of the way the board fell. And so I am going to go with Robert Longerbeam at the final pick of this mock draft. So there we have it, Bears fans, my 7-round Bears mock draft. Probably one of my favorite drafts that we have done throughout this series so far. Took so many players that I've been wanting to talk about, whether that's a Weston Franklin, which I know is going to be a controversial one, but just check the tape. Will Campbell, one of my favorite offensive linemen, Darius Alexander, Quinshon Judkins. But I'd love to hear from you guys, Bears fans. What did I miss on? What picks would you have liked to see be different? Let me know down in the comment section below. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.